When somebody says the word aliens, what do you think of? Are they flying, glowing UFOs, speeding above the horizon? Or evil bug aliens with exoskeletons similar to a praying mantis? Or perhaps you think of the stereotypical little grey man with big eyeballs? Or perhaps the first thing that springs to mind are simple microbes living on Mars? Either way, I find them interesting, and since you clicked on this video, you probably do too. Let's pause for a minute and wonder, could they be real? And if so, what would they look like? How would they behave? How would they act? I would have countless questions. And this project aims to answer them. The videos in this series aim to form a scientifically plausible alien world and also the odd forms of life that inhabit it. Previously, we constructed the solar system and the planet Zira. Now we can get to the point you've all been waiting for, the life. Well, to do this, we must know where life comes from in the first place. My favourite theory, and the one I'll be using in this series, is that life comes from hydrothermal vents. These form when gaps in the Earth's crusts cause chemicals and heat to escape from underneath. These chemicals can form the building blocks for life. These chemicals react with each other, forming more and more complex molecules until life is made. Now this life is very, very simple and often minuscule, but it is life nonetheless. In the beginning, these lives are prokaryotes, but one major change forms the very first eukaryote. A eukaryote is formed when a prokaryote eats another smaller cell, but instead of killing and digesting, they help each other survive. On Zira, some of the first eukaryotes might look something like this. It will be fitted with many complex organelles and will form the basis of multicellular life. Slowly, but eventually, these new organisms will evolve into millions of billions of forms. Some could be bigger, some could be smaller, some could be predators, some could be prey. And among all these new forms, one special development will occur. Multicellularity. This new development will bring an entire new era of life onto Zira. Many simple, microscopic, minuscule organisms will emerge, and most will only be a few micrometers, if anything. But I am sure most of you don't really care about the tiny, microscopic organisms, so let's move on to the stars of the show, shall we? For the sake of simplicity, and totally not because I'm lazy, this series will only follow the evolutionary history of two major clades. However, do not be alarmed, we'll not only be covering two species. Those two beginning clades will radiate into tens and hopefully hundreds of different clades throughout this series. Now, I'm sure many of you are waiting, let's get on to the stars of the show. Slowly but surely, a build-up of white powder will accumulate on the ocean seabed. This is known as, quote-unquote, marine snow. This marine snow is the dead waste, fecal matter, and bodies of microscopic organisms. Now to us, that might not seem like the most appetizing thing in the world, but to many marine species it's what they live off, meaning it will be the perfect food source for Zira's early oceans. And the first creature that will evolve to feed on it will be... the trichinoa. These odd-looking fellows only measure a few centimeters in length. They populate Zira's shallow oceans, and they sense their environment through 3 simple eyes atop their head. If we were to flip it over, we would see 6 small holes underneath. The 3 larger holes are used to suck up marine snow from the seabed. Meanwhile, the 3 smaller holes are used to excrete waste out of the body. Meaning this creature has 3 mouths and 3 butts. Bit weird, but nature is weird, so it's fine. These strange creatures act as the ocean's cleanup crew, since they live in Zira's early ocean seabed and eat up all of the marine snow. The trichinoa is one of 2 starting organisms for Zira's early seas. We have a very simple animal, but now we need a very simple plant. Or planimal? Aniplant? Would you even call it a plant? I'm not sure. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Here it is. But wait, you're probably thinking, this is not a plant. Not even in the slightest sense. And you're right. Well, for now at least. Just bear with me. These little creatures have 4 tendrils which they use to catch plankton drifting in the water. Well, plankton smaller than them, that is. They are so small they don't even have blood because they just don't need it. If you look on the top, you can see a darker patch of green. That's actually a small cluster of light-sensitive cells, which are connected to a small cluster of neuron-like cells underneath inside the main body. Once this creature has gathered enough minerals and nutrients from the current, it will do something strange. It will slowly cover itself in a thick outer layer, like a cocoon, and this layer is denser than the water around it, making it sink down to the seabed. Different species cocoons look slightly different. Some are more green, some are more blue, some are more yellow, some are bigger, some are smaller. You get the point. And eventually, it will finish its metamorphosis. That's right, it metamorphosizes. The top of the shell cracks, and 4 big, thick blue leaves emerge out the top. A similar thing happens at the bottom. However, instead of leaves, lots of roots penetrate the soil and firmly hold it in place. This is the adult stage. The name of this creature comes from its unique life cycle. It's called the meteophyte, meaning changing plant. However, I like to call them changelings. As they begin to populate Zira's early oceans, reefs or even meadows of them would begin to form in the shallow seas. Its adult stage is the last stage in its life, meaning it won't metamorphosize into anything new from here. Instead, it will only grow larger. Once it's ready to reproduce, it will expel millions of gametes through pores in its leaves. And when they meet each other, they will form one of the larvae from earlier. These giant clouds of larvae will feed on algal blooms and other small plankton in the ocean currents until they are ready to metamorphosize into their adult stage and continue the cycle. The 2 creatures I just showed you are what some could call Zira's body plans, which is essentially just another word for the first few creatures. However, today I'm feeling generous. I won't just show you 2 creatures. You will also get to see some of the first early diversification in Zira's oceans, which lead up to Zira's equivalent of the Cambrian explosion. And in non-nerd terms, that means the first few descendants of the previous critters. As more and more trichinoas begin to populate the oceans, marine snow will dwindle. It won't disappear, far from that. However, competition will rise. This competition may select for larger, stronger, and overall more efficient trichinoas. These descendants will be able to reach food faster and maybe even bully rivals out of it. But due to the chordocanoa's quick reproduction, they most definitely will not get outcompeted. And eventually, all these new modifications will end up in a new clade. Introducing the specular spondyle. In order to travel faster, it may ditch radial symmetry and adopt bilateral symmetry. This is where a creature is symmetrical along one axis. One of its eyes may retain on the back leg, which now functions more like a tail. Meanwhile, the other two eyes may move to the front of the creature, along with 3 of the mouths and a large cluster of nerves. This is known as cephalization, which is basically the creation of a head. Its diet, that being marine snow, remains the same as its ancestor. However, it won't face much competition due to the sheer size difference. Not only the diet, but the reproduction stays the same. The reproduction being lifting one of the mouths or butts into the air and spewing gametes from the hole. The reason it's able to get so large is because it has something strange inside of it. Its ancestor, the trichinoa, was made of pure flesh, fat and muscle. However, the specular spondyle has something nothing else on the planet has yet. Bones. To be precise, it has 2 spine-like cords running down each side of its back, for the purpose of structural integrity and also for muscle attachment, thus making the specular spondyle Zira's first vertebrate. It's also where it gets its name from. Specular spondyle means double spine. Earlier, I said that 3 mouths moved to the front, but what happened to the butts? Whilst 1 stayed the same and remained at the back, 2 moved to the sides of the creature and functioned as gills or lungs. The trichinoa won't be the only creature getting a descendant, so will the meteophyte. A mutation may cause the cocoons to have a spongy texture inside, which may make it float and maybe even remain at the water's surface until it hatches. However, if the plant manages to survive this, it may be able to reproduce and spread these genes, therefore creating a new species, a floating reef. These new cocoons will float and bob around on the ocean's surface until ready to hatch. Then they will sprout 4 large pad-like leaves that increase surface area and allow the plant to float. These leaves may block sunlight, making it hard for plants to grow underneath, but due to the waves they will constantly be moving about, meaning plants underneath them won't be impossible. Their roots may grow into a dense forest canopy to gather up as much nutrients from the ocean water as possible, and the top half of their leaves may gain a waxy coating in order to not get damaged by the sun. Growing in groups or forests may be advantageous as it ensures a mating partner is nearby, not to mention they are less likely to get capsized by storms. They may do this by gaining Velcro-like hooks on their leaves that can attach to other Velcro so they don't drift apart. The young of the plant may get bigger, and so they will need blood. Their blood might be yellow, similar to insects of Earth, and unlike the trichinoas from earlier whose blood are red. Their eye may develop further into an eye similar to arachnids, albeit very, very simple. And their legs may evolve a suction cup shape to hold air in and make it so they stick to the bottom of their parent plant. They clean detritus off of the leaf, and occasionally, when the forest brushes near some shallow ocean, they travel down on a route and begin eating up marine snow and algae. This trip can be quite dangerous though. so the trip is only rarely done. Once it has gained enough nutrients, it will find a spot in the forest where it's unlikely to be blown away, and here is where it enters its cocoon. However, if it does end up getting blown away, not all is bad. It will then start its own colony out somewhere else. Or maybe they can join an existing one. This creature will be named the Tristicophyte, meaning floating plant. And that, friends, is all we have for today. From everything from the unique Meteophyte, to the cute Specular Spondyle, the unique Tristicophyte, and the humble Trichinoa, I really hope you find these creatures just as interesting as I do. Thank you, and good... what's that noise? What's that in the distance? Ah! What the hell was that thing? Did it just eat the Trichinoa? In all seriousness though, thank you guys so much for watching this far. It really means a lot to me. And especially thank you to the artists who made lots and lots and lots of artwork for this video. It would be nowhere near as impressive without you guys. Oh, and if you couldn't already tell by what just happened, that was teasing the next episode. It's going to be about the first predators. If you want to help like the artists, feel free to join the Discord server, where we not only participate in events, make art, but also just generally chat. The link will be in the comment section. See you guys in the next one.